Welcome to Noble Character Crafts. My name is Amy and I'm coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. This is a channel all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting and crocheting to share with you all. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. I have an announcement that I would like to make at the top of this episode. I have decided that I am not going to continue to host the Make 9 Mal next year. I think I've been hosting a Make 9 Mal since 2020. And when I started it, I really enjoyed making a Make 9 board and following along with that. In fact, I think at least for the first year, I made a couple of boards. But I've just found that I really am not quite as motivated by that challenge anymore. And I just think that it's time for me to put an end to that make-along for now. I mean, maybe in the future I'll decide to host that again, but I've just decided that I'm just not as interested in it anymore. I'm not as excited about it anymore. And also, I've always hosted it on Instagram, and I really find myself not using Instagram very much anymore. I feel like it's changed a lot in the last few months, and when I do go on there, it's just a lot different. The things that I see pop up on my feed are a lot different than what I used to see. I don't find myself posting on there hardly at all. And it's also become much more difficult to follow hashtags on Instagram and to therefore then choose prize winners from the hashtag on Instagram. Anyway, all of those things combined has made me decide to put an end. Oh, there's a chicken outside the window here, and I don't know if it picked that up on the microphone, but that's why I stopped speaking, because I was like, what in the world is that? It's a chicken. Anyway, that's why I have decided to stop hosting the Make 9 Make-Along for now. I do still have quite a few prizes that have been donated to me by generous viewers of this channel, and I will continue to gift those away to viewers of this channel, but I think it's easiest just to gift those prizes through my videos. So whether it be that I show a gift and then eventually gift it, like whether it be I show a gift on one episode and then you can comment if you'd be interested in winning that prize or not in the comments, I might do it that way so that those that are interested in winning the prize could then enter in that way. Otherwise, I have also in the past done just random comment winners. So just a random prize I've drawn from a comment from the previous episode, that sort of a thing. I might do that, but it might be better if I let you all know what the prize was going to be, so then you could enter if you were interested in winning and so forth. So I think that's what I will do in the foreseeable future as far as giving away all of those beautiful yarns and goodies that I have received from viewers of this channel. So I just wanted to let you all know that I don't have any plans to do any other make-along in the foreseeable future, but I'm sure I probably will in the future at some point. So thank you again so much to everybody that has participated in the Make 9 make-alongs throughout the years. I really appreciate you joining in that fun, and I hope that you will continue to enjoy the different things that I have to share with you all. And maybe if I do any other make-alongs in the future, hopefully you'll enjoy joining in on those as well. All right, today I am wearing, I did also want to say that I will do one final giveaway for the Make 9 2025 make-along. My first episode of 2026, I will do a final giveaway for a few prizes to wrap up that make-along for the year. Okay, today I am wearing a hand-knitted sweater that is highly modified from the Gigi pattern, which is a design by Devin Ventry. I finished this way back in 2020, January of 2020, I believe. I knit it out of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted weight in the Forest Heather colorway. I will hopefully be able to link to the episode where I shared this as a finished object in case you're interested in learning more about it. But I really love this sweater. It's, you know, I've had it for several years now, and I still enjoy it so much. I love the color, and it just goes with so many of my outfits that I just really get a lot of wear out of it still. So it's a great knit. I love it a lot. Okay, I have been really focused on finishing up some gift knits since my last episode. Normally I record every other Friday. That's generally my routine. So I should have recorded last Friday, which was like 5 days ago. And anyway, so now it's Tuesday. So it's been about 2.5 weeks since I recorded last. So keep that in mind when you see the number of finished objects that I have. But if you've been watching for a while, you know that I was really trying to knit several hats for some children that I go to church with. I am helping to lead the Christmas program for the children. I'm teaching them the songs that they are singing and helping with that part of the Christmas program. And I thought it would be really fun for me to gift each of them a knitted hat. So I believe last time, and I think I have given you several different numbers and how many hats I had and how many children were involved and so forth. I think the final number of children involved is 26 children. And I also went through the hats that I already had made, and I kind of weeded out some that I didn't, either they were a little bit larger and I thought they'd be a little bit too big for a kid's head, or the colors just weren't really fun. And I think kids would rather have a fun colored hat, more brightly colored hats. So I made several more than what I had originally thought I was going to make, just to accommodate what I thought would be best for the kids. So anyway, I believe I was working on this one last time I recorded. I am making all of the same pattern. It is the classic ribbed hat, a free pattern on the Purl Soho website designed by Jake Canton. And I have made several of the kid-sized hats. That's what these are. I knit all of these hats on US 3.25 millimeter needles. And all of these hats are also knit with fingering weight held double. The original pattern calls for DK weight yarn, and so I get that gauge by holding fingering weight double. This one was knit with one color of yarn held together with itself. So I don't know what this yarn is. It did not have a label on it. It was gifted to me by a viewer of this channel, and I think it has turned out really cute. I have knit all of the kids sized hats to a total length of 8.5 inches before I do the crown decreasing, which is longer than what the original pattern calls for. I believe the original pattern calls for you to only knit the kid size to 7 inches before you do the decreasing. So I've added an inch and a half just to give an extra generous brim to fold up. I think that is nice to have extra fabric to fold up for a brim for nice ear coverage and things like that. Anyway, here's the first one. I have made 11 since I recorded last, so I'll try to go through these a little quickly. Here's the next one I used Knit Picks static yarn for this one in the Paradise colorway. And same as all of these kid sizes are same as far as needle size and measurements. This one, I held two different kinds of yarn together. I did hold one main color throughout. I held pineapple yarn in a one-of-a-kind colorway, which was just this super bright orange color, which I loved. It was so fun to work with. And then I just held it double with a bunch of scraps that had oranges, reds, golds, things like that. So I think that one turned out really fun as well. Here is another one that I held a bunch of different yarns together and just used what I had. So that one turned out really cute too, I think. And then this is the final one that I made in the kid size. This yarn was dyed by my cousin Allie, and she sent me 2 cakes of this yarn. So I still have quite a bit of this yarn left over. I don't have a ton of details about this yarn, but I think she told me it was a Cascade Heritage base that she dyed. I just love the colors in this one. It is so beautiful. and I just held it together with itself. So just one colorway with this hat. So then I had enough hats for all of the smallest kids in the program. And then I have already made quite a few adult small sized hats. So the classic ribbed hat has a kid size, and then the next size up is an adult small size. And there's also some kids in the program that are not real little, but not the oldest of kids either. Of course, they're kind of in the middle. So the ages of those kids are about 6 to 8, probably, between that age range. And so I kind of wanted to get a happy medium between the kid size, which I thought might be a little bit tight on those kids, and not quite as large as the adult small, which was a bit tricky because of the numbers that are included in the hat. I think that the hat numbers need to be divisible by 12. And anyway, I cast on a number in between the kid size and the adult small size. So my decreases, I had to adjust my decreases a little bit, but it wasn't too tricky. I just did a few purl 2-togethers on the decreases, and normally in the original pattern, you're only doing knit 2-togethers to do decreases on the crown. So I just modified that a little bit. I ended up casting on 102 stitches, which is just right in between the kid and adult small size for these hats. And then I knit these to a total length of 9 inches before I did the decreases. And so here's the first one that I made that size, and again, I used 2 different yarns held together. Actually, I did hold one main color throughout, I'm pretty sure, and that was Aryan Arvetta color number C345. And then a bunch of the other colors I held were, just different colors of blue. Some of that original hat that I made that has the blue and the green, I held in there. You can kind of see the color of that green poking through there. So anyway, again, just used up a bunch of scraps, and I think that one's really fun. I like them all. It's so fun to see the different color combinations. Here's the next one I made in that medium size. This one I held, again, that pineapple yarn bright orange color in the one-of-a-kind colorway, and I held it together with Knit Picks Stroll in the Vibrant Violet. It's spelled like violet, but with an extra E on the end, so I'm guessing that's pronounced violet. I'm not really sure. Anyway, I held those 2 colorways together, and this one is a fun bright pop as well. The next one I made turned out also very beautiful. This one, last time I recorded, I had made a more solid colored teal kid sized hat, and I had more of that teal colored yarn, and then I held it together with a skein of Hobbii Colorina yarn, color number 9. And yeah, it was more of it was a color changing yarn, so it changed between reddy, pinky, purple, blue, different colors stranded throughout that skein of yarn. Anyway, the next one I held pineapple yarn, again, this one in the Land of Sweets colorway, together with Knit Picks Stroll fingering in the Dogwood Heather colorway. That one I loved as well. I loved working with those colors. Then this one is another pineapple yarn, and this is another one-of-a-kind colorway, and I held it together with itself. It just was so fun to work with this yarn. It had so many bright pops of color. I mean, every color you can imagine is probably in here. I couldn't name them all, but you can just see that it's full of fun, bright pops. And the last one that I made is here. And again, it turned out so fun. This one I held just all my leftover fun pops of color that were in purples and blues and more of that same color that I just showed you held together here. You can probably notice that similarity. And then this one is that I held a lot of that yarn that my cousin dyed again up here at the crown. So anyway, I'm so excited that I was able to make all of these hats. So I have been keeping track of how many classic ribbed hats I have made, and I started making them a little over a year ago, just in general. I just have kept making them since I started over a year ago. I've enjoyed that pattern so much. And so I have, this last one was my 37th classic ribbed hat that I have made. So, and I've done a few different variations of the pattern, but yeah, I just thought that was kind of fun to keep track of how many I've made. Also, since the last time I recorded, I have made a bunch of 20-minute scrunchies, which is another free pattern by Haute Kippy by Bethany Sypolt. And I made those to gift to a group called American Heritage Girls that my daughter is involved with, and I am one of the leaders for the older girls group that my daughter is a part of. And we had our Christmas party last Tuesday, a week ago today, and I thought it would be fun to make a bunch of these scrunchies to gift to the girls that go to American Heritage Girls with us, just for our older group of girls, which are junior high and senior high girls, or high school girls. Anyway, so I made enough for each of them to pick out 2 scrunchies that they liked. So each girl got to take home 2 scrunchies. So you'll see these pictures of the scrunchies that I made. They are, of course, very quick, as the name of the pattern suggests. I'm actually wearing one in my hair today that's this olive green color. I love them. My daughter loves them. And so I thought that all of the girls that are in our group have longer hair. And so I thought it would be nice for them to each have some scrunchies to have, to use on their own. So anyway, they really liked those, and they thought they were fun and liked picking out what colors they wanted. So that was fun. I made a total of 12 of those scrunchies since I recorded last, and 8 of them I made using worsted weight yarn, just scraps of whatever I had on hand, and I used a 5mm hook for those. And then I made 4 using bulky weight yarn, and I used a 7mm hook to make those. So that was fun to whip those up really quickly. I made all 12 of them I started them on November 26th and finished them on November 28th. Maybe I should go not over every individual hat, but since I recorded last, the very first one that I shared today, I started on November 21st, and I finished the last hat that I just shared with you on December 5th. So I'm so happy I was able to make all those hats. So now I've gotten gift bags, and I need to package them all up, and I'm going to throw in a few little pieces of candy and things like that to make a fun gift for each of the kids. So I'm excited to do that too. And then I also am gifting a pair of mittens to the accompanist for the Christmas program, who is actually our pastor's wife. And she also teaches our youngest son piano lessons, and I thought it would be nice to give her a Christmas gift as well. So I have made these mittens for her. I used the free pattern, again, another free pattern by Tin Can Knits. It's called The World's Simplest Mittens, and I have used this pattern several times to make mittens, but I have never used it to make a pair of fingering weight mittens from start to finish. I did make a pair of fingering weight mittens earlier this year, and I used it as a reference because those mittens started off as a pair of socks, and I just decided, because they were too tight for my feet, to turn them into a pair of mittens. So I kind of used that pattern to help me figure out how to turn them into mittens. But I believe this is the first time I've made a pair of these mittens using fingering weight yarn from start to finish. I started these back in October 27th, and then I put them on hold for quite a while. The yarn that I used is also gifted yarn, and it's also it didn't have a label with it. So I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I do believe they're both fingering weight yarns. The yarn that I used for the cuff is just this beautiful variegated purple and green yarn. And I started these with the adult medium stitch count, but I quickly increased 2 stitches so that I would have a total of 48 stitches for my cuffs. The original calls for that adult medium size to cast on 46 stitches, but I wanted to have an even number of stitches on both sides of my magic loop method. I was knitting these 2 at a time, And I wanted to, it's a knit purl pattern for the cuff. And I wanted to have an even number on both sides. So I would start with a knit and end with a purl. So anyway, I just added an extra 2 stitches. So I had a total of 48 stitches for my cuffs. The original pattern calls for you to knit the adult medium cuff to 4 inches, I believe. But I only knit these to 3 inches because I thought that was good enough. Then for the main body, I switched to this beautiful tonal purple yarn. Again, I don't know what that is either, but it was really nice to work with. And for the cuff, I used US 0 2mm needles, which is what the pattern recommends. Then the pattern recommends you go up to, I believe, a US 2 needle, which I think is a 2.5mm, but I only went up to a US 1 2.25mm set of needles for the body of these mittens. I followed the pattern until I got to the length of the hand. Then and I still had 2 extra stitches, so I still had 48 stitches instead of 46, but anyway, when you split the thumb off, then your stitch count changes. But anyway, I originally knit these to the length that the adult medium called for, but they turned out quite short. I have large hands for a woman, and the lady that these are going to is quite a petite woman. But I had my daughter try the mittens on when I had closed up the top at first, and it was quite tight. And I thought better to have a little more wiggle room than for them to be too tight. So I ripped out the top and I added more length. So I ended up knitting a total of 4 inches from the thumb before I did the decreases. And I think that fits better. They're still a little bit small on my hand, but I think they'll fit her pretty well. I also added quite a bit of length to the thumb, and maybe I added a little bit too much to the thumb. But again, I think it's better to have a little wiggle room rather than for it to be too tight. So I knit the thumbs to 2.5 inches before doing the decreases. So that is a little bit longer than what is recommended as well. But anyway, I think they turned out sweet, and I hope that she will really like them. So those are all of my finished objects since my last episode. While I was working on all of those hats, I was really obviously quite focused on working on all of those hats, but sometimes my hands would get really tired of that gauge and working on those needles constantly. So once in a while I would pick up my crocheted scrappy blanket project that I've been working on. So I have added a few more squares to this. So I'm calling this my Cozy Memories crocheted blanket, and making it using granny squares. So it's kind of the idea of the knitted Cozy Memories blanket, but I am crocheting mine using granny squares. Last time I shared this, I was working on the 4th row of squares, and I had only added 3 squares. So I finished this 4th row. And a lot of these yarns that I've added in, well, probably all of these yarns that I've added in are leftovers from the hats that I've knitted. So for each of these squares, I am using fingering weight yarn held single, and I'm using a C 2.75mm hook. I'm just doing a standard granny square, and I am making 5 rounds for each of them. And I just love how it's turning out. It's super fun to work on, and I love how it's turning out. I have a total of 16 squares for the width of this blanket. I could always add to it down the road if I decide I want it a little bit wider, but it's a good width at this point. And I am joining as I go. When I do that 5th round, I use a slip stitch method just to join my squares together. So you can kind of see that on the back side, like where that orange and blue one come together. You can really see those orange slip stitches that go onto the blue square. But this is the back side, and it still looks nice and neat. I crochet over my first end that I start with. I do have a tutorial that I'll link to in the description box below if you want to see how I crochet over my ends when I'm making granny squares. And then I am left with an end at the end, and I just weave that in right away so that I'm not left with a lot of ends at the end, because that would drive me crazy. So I have really enjoyed working on this little by little. and adding in little scraps of leftovers that I have from projects that I have made using fingering weight yarn. I have a few more little scraps that I have in my basket here to add in as well, so I will add a few more soon. I was also very, very excited to get back to my daughter's blanket that I have started, and I shared this on my last episode. I am crocheting my daughter a blanket. It is a beautiful, beautiful pattern, another free pattern by a designer named Helen Shrimpton, and this pattern is called Winnie's Wonder, and it is just so gorgeous. Here it is so far. I haven't been able to add a ton of work to this project because I just started working on it again after I finished the hats, but I have added a few rounds. Here is a progress keeper that was gifted to me by Emma of Potter and Bloom several years ago, and so that's marking where I was last time I recorded. So I have just added a few rounds. I did mess up one of these rounds. I was supposed to do treble crochets, front and back post treble crochets, and I only did double crochets, but it didn't make a difference. You can't barely see it. It's the row that's in this bluey tan color under the pink one here. You can kind of tell I did it right on the pink one. I used the treble stitch for the pink row, and I should have done that for this row as well, but it was still laying nicely, so I didn't go back and fix it. I just left it because I thought it was fine. Anyway, right now I am adding this row of bobble stitches, which are so fun to make and super easy to make. I just love the effect of them. I love all the texture in this pattern so much. It is such a joy to work on. All of this yarn, which is a lot. This is a lot of yarn. I have this big, big basket full of all of the beautiful, beautiful yarns. All of this yarn was gifted to me by viewers by viewers of this channel. It's all so gorgeous, and I'm so grateful that I have all of this yarn to use for my daughter's blanket. Last time I was talking about the yarn, I kept calling it a chainette yarn, and I think I'm wrong in calling it that. I think it's more of I should call it a blown yarn. The majority of this yarn is blown. I think that's what it's called. So here, let me show you. So it all has like a core that then has fiber blown into the core. And all of it is worsted weight. Some of it is marked maybe as DK weight, but it all is very comparable in its, the weight of the yarn. So it's working well, all of the different yarns. There's several different brands. I have them all listed in the description box if you're curious. And they are all blends of fiber. I believe all of them have some wool and some acrylic in them, and then other fibers as well, probably. But anyway, they're beautiful. I just love all of them so much. There are two that are not that blown yarn, and they are both Yarn Bee Marbelesque, and they're more of a single ply yarn, but they still kind of have that same texture of the blown yarn. And I have that in both this turquoise color and in the light purpley pink color. So those are the only two that are not that blown type of yarn, but all the other ones are. Anyway, I've enjoyed working with these so much. The hook I'm using is a 5.5 millimeter hook. I started this on November 11th. I was thinking maybe I would be able to get it done for her by Christmas. That's not going to happen, I'm pretty sure. I am pretty focused on this now because I've gotten all those other gifts done. But this is going to be a pretty large blanket, and her birthday is mid to late January. And anyway, it's at near the end of January, and I am hopeful that I'll be able to finish this for her birthday. So we'll see. Anyway, it is just so beautiful. I just love, this is the second time I have crocheted one of Helen Shrimpton's blankets, and both of them have been a pure joy to crochet. I love the texture and the different stitches that she includes in her blankets. The instructions are wonderful, very easy to understand. Many of the rows are super simple to memorize, so you just, do a few stitches and you're on your way, and you can just complete the entire round. I just love them. I have loved both of the blankets that I've made. The last one I made was called Faith. I loved that one, and this one is equally as joyful to crochet, so I'm enjoying it so much. And the only other project that I have worked on, I believe, since I recorded last, and I barely worked on these at all, is a pair of Christmas socks that I have had on the go. I think this is probably one of the, this pair of socks has taken me longer than any other pair of socks, I think. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked it up, but I started these on October 1st, and they're still not near done because I just keep putting them aside. Good thing I started these Christmas socks in October, because I had no idea they were going to take me this long, but that's okay. So I am just making a pair of plain vanilla socks using some beautiful Christmassy yarn. I've got to flip way back in my crochet and knitting book to find my project page for this one. I am using Stylecraft Head Over Heels yarn in the Comet colorway. It is 73% superwash wool, 25% nylon, and 2% polyester, because it has that really fun gold sparkly thread woven throughout the yarn. I cast on 60 stitches using US 0.2mm needles, and I completed that color stripe repeat for the cuff using 2x1 ribbing, and I believe that was about 30 rounds. I just knit that until I got to the first red stripe, and then I started knitting plain stockinette. I did, I think I tried to tell you last time how many rows I did on the legs, and I might have told you last time, but now I completely forget how many rows I did, or how many rounds I did on the leg, but, I think maybe 60. Yeah, I think it's 60. I think I did 60 rounds on the leg before I did this slip stitch heel flap, and I just pulled from the middle of the skein for the slip stitch heel flap so that I could continue with the color striping for the main body of the leg, and I like how that turned out really well. So now I am just on the foot. I've already done the gusset decreases, and I'm just doing plain stockinette on the foot as well, of course. Here is a progress keeper marking where I was last time I recorded. This was made for me by my cousin Allie, and I love it so much. It is so sweet and very detailed. Anyway, I've only added like an inch of knitting. I just picked these up yesterday, and they'd been on hold for a very long time. So anyway, I'm back to focusing on these, and I'm hopeful I'll get them done before Christmas. So those are all, and I'm holding it in a bag that I sewed myself. Those are all of the projects that I have to share with you all. I hope that you enjoyed seeing the things that I've been making, and I hope that you are enjoying the things that you are making as well. And I hope that you're enjoying the holiday season. I absolutely love this time of year, and I hope you all are enjoying it as well. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.